Artificial intelligence is here and it's not going anywhere. If it allows us to be creative, if it allows us to become critical thinkers, better communicators, excellent. If it allows us to be lazy, be reliant, then that's not the way that we need to use it. So it's incumbent upon us to educate, to have those conversations. Having real conversations, the key to everything.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast, your trusted source for real-world tactics that keep students safe and help them to shine online. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. Each week, I sit down with K-12 superintendents, district leaders, and community voices who are shaping digital safety. We discuss wins, struggles, and strategies used to guide students so they can be safe and successful online.
Hey, Josh, TJ Schneckloth. I'm the very proud superintendent of Davenport Schools. We're situated right where the Mississippi runs east and west in Iowa. We got about 12,000 students that range from 3 comprehensive high schools, 5 middle schools, 17 elementary schools, some pre-Ks, and an alternative high school. And so we're very proud of the district and the students that we serve.
Welcome to the program, Superintendent. I'm so excited to have you here today. What I'm really pumped about is that our audience is going to learn from your experience as an educator, your experience in keeping kids safe, your vision. And then we're going to get a bunch of parent engagement tips from you as well on the latest and greatest too. For our audience, you know that Smart Social is here to keep your kiddos safe so they can be successful someday. And we help districts all over the country to do that through these conversations with absolute experts. The person you're about to learn from is a proud educator with something really cool. And Superintendent, I want to ask you 2 pop quiz questions. I didn't prep you for these, but I want to know, what kind of educator or teacher did you start out as in your career?
Well, that's a great question, and one I'm very proud of, because I believe education isn't something that you do. I believe it's something that you are. So I was a 3rd grade teacher, a 5th grade teacher, high school football coach, and then I became an elementary principal, and then I was a director of federal programs in charge of 504s, ADAs, Title I, all of those things. And October 26, 2018, I was asked to be the interim superintendent for Davenport Schools, and I've been the interim twice for Davenport Schools. And then in March of 2021, I became the full-time superintendent for Davenport Schools and have been so ever since. I am the proud father of 2 sets of twins. So social media has been my life and managing that. So not only from a district perspective, but from a father of 4 children who love nothing more than to be on social media. It's something that is ever changing. And I believe what you're doing is heroic, because giving people a platform to talk about something that changes every 5 minutes is incredibly important.
All right, Superintendent, we're so excited to have you here today. We're going to dive into some questions. We're going to do some rapid fire stuff. And I really want you to put on that 2 twin dad hat, which, what a cool experience. And then also the principal hat, the 3rd grade teacher, the 5th grade teacher hat, because we're honored that you were called to serve to help these kiddos and now to lead staff. Okay, so it's my honor to be able to interview 240 of your peers nationwide across 43 states. And we've heard some consistent trends, and we're here to be vulnerable with our district leaders to say, how can we help protect kids even more so they're more successful in the future? Here's what I'm hearing is the challenges in the 25-26 school year. And I'd love you to set me straight. Maybe, Josh, there's one that you're missing. Josh, here's the one that we've overcome, or one we're struggling with or working on, or one that my peers are working on. Number one, we hear about these hidden direct messages that we've all seen. Parents, that audience, you know that this is big on Snapchat, the ephemeral, it's going to go away in 24 hours or 1 hour. And also you can have hidden direct messages in Instagram by swiping up and it goes into temporary disappearing mode. Very dangerous, scary. You've got the dangerous TikTok challenges, the bathroom challenge, ripping apart the bathrooms. Every superintendent has kind of seen that or had that happen. There's the group text messages, parents. You've seen this, where there's a lot of fear of missing out. There's a little bit of bullying in there and all kinds of things going on. The cool kids are doing the group texts. It's a lot to handle. There's students now chatting with AI. Dangerous. Parents, if you haven't looked at this yet, go to smartsocial.com. Some incredible free guides put together by our army of parents. But there used to just be the white van theory. Don't go up to a white van and talk to strangers. But now we've got AI willing to talk to you 24/7. There's inappropriate content. It could happen off campus, superintendent, and then become a problem of the principal and a headache on campus on Monday morning. And the last thing we're seeing a lot of from your peers is screen time, phone addiction, where some are saying, Josh, if we can just overcome the screen time and phone addiction problem, the rest of these might be easier to navigate. Superintendent, set me straight. Which ones of these are the biggest that you've seen, or is there anything we're missing?
No, I think this is a pretty comprehensive list. I think you can wrap just about any problem that you see with social media into one of these areas. The dangerous TikTok challenges, those have real consequences for both taxpayers and for students. And I'll give you a couple of examples. The tearing the bathrooms apart. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxpayers' dollars fixing bathrooms. We've put systems in place. There's noise detection systems in bathrooms. There's vape detectors. So people are spending money to ensure that our students feel safe. And you think about it, just in that one challenge alone, you now have kids that are afraid to go into the bathroom of their school. One, it's maybe damaged, but there may be something inappropriate going on. So that has ripple effects all across the school. The biggest thing that we probably deal with goes back and forth with AI and then inappropriate content off campus. The things that happen outside of our walls but spill back into the school day are overwhelming at times. And I'll give you a couple of examples. The modern day phone calls, be where you are, bullying you. Well, when you have to do that face to face, that's different. But when you have an online platform and you can gather followers and bully, that manifests itself because students know where they're going to be at the next day of school. And so all of those things come right to a head at 7:30 in the morning. And a lot of times they do it in hidden messages like you're talking about. So school district personnel only know about it when people report, when they provide the appropriate places to report things that might pop off. And now what we're seeing is really the deep fakes utilizing AI. So that kind of goes into that inappropriate content off campus where someone could take this video and create a deep fake using my voice, using my office, and me saying very inappropriate things. And so the consequences that are beginning to arrive at students' doorsteps are very serious. One of the TikTok challenges that we had required, hey, do a fake threat to the school so they'll dismiss school early. Well, in our community, those are considered acts of terrorism if it involves too many of the police, if it does a major disruption to the learning environment, that's a felony. And people all across the country are taking those things very seriously. And so the notion that there are real consequences behind some of these things, it's not just fake, it doesn't just go away. And so I think this is a pretty comprehensive list of things that are pretty serious going on right now.
Parents, the moral of the story is what the superintendent just said is this is important, and we're going to give you some of these answers, but I'll give you the teaser right now. The more conversations we have with kiddos about, hey, look, there's funny things and then there's dangerous things. And what could the outcome be before you post that, before you do that? Could it hurt your reputation, your parents' reputation, the school district's reputation, and could it hurt another kid at school? So I think this is all so good and so dangerous at the same time. Superintendent, my next question for you. In conversations with your staff, what do you hear them say is the hardest to keep up with out of these three items? Is it social media shifts, AI, or student screen time habits?
I think it's a mixture. I mean, all of those things are really difficult for staff members to keep up on. But the social media shifts, what's happening on that online platform, who's being bullied, what's being done on that platform is a constant problem for educators. Screen habits, that is something that we're starting to see legislation, phone bans in school. I think that's going to become nationwide. I truly believe that. But the thing that is in the horizon and is going to take over is AI. It hasn't taken over yet, but that will be the number one concern for educators moving forward. That will be it.
I want to be vulnerable with you for a sec because this is what AI keeps me up at night. We believe at Smart Social, AI is, if you've ever ridden a bicycle, people would say, oh no, don't get an electric bike. It's going to change the world. Well, it just gets you there faster. Or you can't build a house with a power drill. You have to use a screwdriver. No, it's building it faster. You can still mess up the house. It's not like it cheats for you, and you can still do bad work with it. We were really promoting learning and tutoring, but now with this deep fake and some of these other things, it is a little scary. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I want to get your feedback on this kind of live on the pod. I'm up at night going, as one of the leaders, top 5 in the space, how do we protect kiddos from these deep fakes? And here's what I've come up with of just racking my brain with the staff here. Amazing. Shout out to the staff, the army of parents nationwide at Smart Social that are on board with us helping in 7 to 10 states. I think eventually we're going to have to go to, is that video being posted on a trusted, real, authentic handle of a social media? For instance, if it's the president of the United States saying, we're going to go bomb this country right now, can we go to the Instagram account, the official Twitter X account, and see, was that actually posted there? Because otherwise it's getting so realistic and so vivid. It's not quite there. Like you said, it's when you learn, parents, you can see that the faces are really smooth. That looks like it's filtered. Like it makes everybody looks probably like me right now. It makes me look 5 years younger or whatever, the Zoom filter. But I'm a little afraid, like, what are we going to do to teach kids how to authenticate this? All right. Is it true? Is it real? We have to go to the original. Is there a checkbox that Facebook, Instagram, Meta, X have said this is the official? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's something like how we're doing this live? I didn't ask you this, but how do we teach kids to find out, is it the real video?
Everything that you're saying is exactly what we need to do. It's exactly. Education is the key to everything. Having real conversations is the key to everything. So first of all, we need to evolve. Artificial intelligence is here and it's not going anywhere. I love what you said. If it allows us to be creative, if it allows us to become critical thinkers, better communicators, excellent. If it allows us to be lazy, be reliant, then that's not the way that we need to use it. So it's incumbent upon us to educate, to have those conversations. If you're using that to write your papers so you can get out of it, wrong. If you're using it to enhance your thoughts, if you're using it to be a critical thinker, excellent. The other thing is we need to continue to evaluate what is real and what isn't. And the only way to do that is to collapse the void. And you got to provide spaces in your personal, in your life, in your home, in your classrooms to talk about, hey, let's evaluate whether or not this is real. Let's evaluate that. And I think that is going to be a critical step for us moving forward in places like Smart Social, giving a platform for parents that to have that conversation is critical. So you take a look at the opportunities that are out there for an AI video. For example, when I do my superintendent videos to the whole district, they will grab that video, use my voice, and put it in all the languages that our families have, so it's inclusive. That's an excellent example of utilizing those videos. But if you see a video of me saying school's out, we need to be an intelligent learner of that, because everyone knows my goal is to keep kids in class all the time. And so intelligently digesting the information that you have is a critical skill that we need to make sure that our students have. And we need to purposely put it into our curriculum all along the way.
I think it's a little pro tip for all of our audience out there. And there's a lot of superintendents and district leaders who watch this. I think one of the tips here as well, as the superintendent said, is educating people, but also you might consider to our audience, letting your community know official school district information will only come through A, Parent Square, or B, the newsletter directly from xyzschooldistrict.com. Maybe letting them know, right? This is maybe it's on the website on the About Us. Official school district videos of the superintendent will not come through random X accounts or something, right? And maybe we teach them always, hey, remember, go back to xyzschooldistrict.com's main site and you'll see an emergency there or whatever you need to know. That's where you go. That's your home base. You'll only get it through Parent Square or whatever tool your district uses.
You're going to hear me say this over and over. Proactively teaching is one of the best strategies that you have, whether you're doing that as a parent. I'll give you an example. I was listening to one of the universities here in Iowa. It was a leading university. The professor was teaching an AI class, and it was an 8-week class. By week 4, they had to change the syllabus because the generator they were using changed. The technology updated after the 4th week of the class. And so having the ability to adapt like that, well, that's going to happen to us from here on out into the future. This technology is going to grow faster than we can stay ahead of it. Having critical thinking, being a good communicator, having a positive mindset, all of those things are going to be the human aspect that AI will never be able to be, will be at the forefront of all of our conversations with AI. So I think that AI, right now it's social media, but AI is going to be the thing that you're either on the train using it, being out ahead of it the best that you can, or you're going to get run over by it. And I think that's incredibly important.
So true. I want to ask you the next question. We often hear principals say that they feel pulled in many directions when it comes to digital safety and parent engagement. And with all this new AI stuff, how can parents better partner with school staff to support the students around screen time and social media safety?
I think there's I think one of the most important things in terms of safety is finding out the way that the schools have set up to report potential issues that you see on social media. There are all kinds of things that districts have with technologies, tools that we're able to monitor our own technology inside of our district, and we look for threats to self, threats to others, potential warning signs. But parents, there are wonderful things on your cell phone. Like I said, I'm a father of 2 sets of twins. We have management. We have their phones on lockdown. And so they can always get around it, but we're constantly monitoring. We grab their phones, we look at them, we ask them questions about it. We get in their business. So first thing first, get in your kid's business with their phone. You're paying the bill. That's your phone, and it can be put on top of the fridge at any moment. So that's a privilege. It's not, we give them their phones because it's a safety blanket for us, but it can be taken away at any time. And if your phone is your ability to go somewhere, that means if I have your phone, you're not going anywhere. So you could set up, that was the conversation that we had in my house. Now, you have to get in there and you have to monitor because kids do really silly things on their social media. They do. And so jumping in their business is 100% appropriate. And if you see something, you must say, you have a right as a parent to report that to the staff. And then it's your responsibility to follow up and ensure that the staff is actually doing something with that, because staff get busy. There isn't anybody that gets into education because they want to ignore a parent or something that happened, but a little follow up with that. So on the parents' end, on schools' end, schools should have a way to anonymously report something. We have a tip line, and kids use it all the time and a lot of times we've saved some major crises that have come through for that. So the old adage is see something, say something. That's number one. I have a story to tell around this. I got a little bummed. My kids were playing a lot of video games in the basement. And finally I was like, you guys, it's time to go outside and play with your friends. And they were really puzzled. And they're like, we are playing with our friends. We're online. And so we structured events. We structured things that allowed our kids to get together. What that manifests like from your 8, 9, 10 to your 14, 15, 16 is you see kids having conversations with one another. You see them doing social events with one another. You can't stop the technology, the social media altogether. Well, you can, but a healthy mixture of those is very appropriate as a parent. Is very, very appropriate. And it's your business to jump in there. And I would take a mindset of teaching and learning. Because one thing, and it's going to echo throughout this entire podcast, is when you put something online, it's a footprint in concrete. Once it hardens, it's there and it never goes anywhere. And you see that all the time. Star football players who put something out when they were 12 years old and they're now 22 years old on the number one football team in the country in college football, and they bring up a tweet that they had from when they were 12. So those things are really important to remember, and getting in your kid's business and talking with them is really important. The last thing you would ever want your kid to do is go undercover. And so how do you continue to have dialogue with your children that make them want to come with you, come and talk to you when something is wrong, when they see something? But if you automatically come at it too fast, they're gonna not want to talk to you, and they want to go, I call it going undercover. They're gonna hide things from you. And so as a parent, that's a hard dance. That's a very difficult thing to do. And so working on that, getting in that void, talking with them, and then how you respond and react, treating it as a growing opportunity. Those are all really important strategies as a parent. And I'm just letting like this subconscious flow from my 4 kids when they were in high school.
Yeah. I love this. I have so many notes we're going to share at the end. I'm going to give everybody my notes of this. I love this. For our audience, you know that we do free parent night engagement events. We do huge giveaways too, parents, by the way. Last week, I want to give you the biggest question, but first, parents, don't forget that we give away a Kindle, a 3D printer, or a Bluetooth speaker every single Friday. So if you come out to one of our free events, not only will your kids learn, you'll learn how to keep them safe, but you're also going to enter for a chance to win something cool for the family. Okay, last week, people said, hey, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger? This is important because it's never going away. Well, let's hear from a real student as how she might help a friend recognize these red flags. Parents, these are the real students that present in our parent night events. If you do come out, you can bring your teens and they'll roll their eyes a lot less because they're listening to their peers.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start, if they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Parents, it's not only is this kid doing an amazing job at advising your kids on how to be good to their friends, to protect them, but we have lots of these on how to look out for your friends on, are they spending too much time chatting with AI, getting advice from AI? Totally scary. Hey, parents, don't forget to come out. Weekly live parent events, they're free for you. And replays, you register, they're in English, Espanol, all this cool stuff. Teen-led video lessons, your kids are going to roll their eyes less, easier to have that conversation. Premium parent newsletter. Also, parents, if you're ever in trouble and you're really wondering, how do I navigate this app? Well, Smart Social has the very best. We have the army of parents that are doing the research for you nationwide, multiple states, communities just like yours. You can view our latest parent app guides on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, and 450 more. Yes, we've been doing this for over a decade. Shout out to the amazing team that are doing the hard work. Now, not only that, they're not just in English, they're in Espanol, Mandarin, and 9 other languages. This month is all about anti-bullying, protecting your child's confidence before screens turn mean. It's a lot of good stuff in here. You may be watching this episode months later. Well, we've also got, every single month, we've got a big theme, Snapchat and Instagram teen risks. Discover why disappearing messages and secret accounts appeal to teens and learn the simple ways to guide and protect your child. And teens are welcome, and you entered to win a giveaway just by attending. We've got the latest stuff. Shout out to the incredible team. We're excited to get the chance to share this with the country. Okay, Superintendent, we're back to you. Some districts have said that they wish they had more time to focus on student safety and parent engagement. What area would you tell other districts is the most important part to focus on to support parents?
You know, the ever-changing landscape of what's going on with social media trends, AI trends, I think it's incredibly important to get that information in the hands of your parents, to get that information in a readily available place. And so one of my favorite words is a cadence. One of my favorite things to put in a cadence for us is when we find a problem that's occurring in our district, what we do is we create a teaching moment for that. And what we send out to the parents and say, parents, this is becoming an issue. We need your help solving this problem. So here's a parent guide. Please talk to your child about this at home. In all of your advisory periods at the school, we're going to be giving this lesson and talking about this. So what we do is we do some initial learning with both at home and then in school. And then after that, we can begin to blend in the guidance, the redirection, and consequences if necessary. Anytime we have done that path, it almost always reduces the amount of whatever it be bullying, whether it be physical violence due to social media, whenever it is, almost always has a major reduction in those discipline referrals or the events that are occurring. That pathway works. And so in terms of districts and parents and support, when you can combine the learning at home with the learning during the day, that's a very powerful strategy. I think the other thing that when you provide the context, but there's consequences on the background, and those consequences are actualized when someone follows through with another TikTok challenge or whatever, that's when it really slows down. So that's one of the paths that we take. And so districts flood parents with resources. And most of the time, districts have like a parent community support page. So checking those out and even reaching out to the counselors that are in the schools if you're having issues and problems, they'll be wonderful supports for them. The other thing is kids have their favorite teacher. They just have that are willing to go and spill their guts to. or have a conversation with, or encouraging your kids to connect with that favorite teacher, coach, whoever it is, and be willing to ask that person as well to kind of get a connection with that person. All of those things are really important for parents to know and understand and connect with.
Excellent tips. I wrote so many great things down. District leaders nationwide are also telling us that parent engagement helps them to get ahead of future students' social media problems. This hits right on what you were just talking about, Superintendent. What parent or student preventative education would you recommend to other districts to get ahead of these problems before they happen on campus? You kind of just mentioned it. It was brilliant. Tell us a little bit more about it. Maybe there's an example or a story that you have. I call it a seal. Story, example, something else, and a lesson. I forget what it was. A lesson. Do you have an example, a real life example of a way that you had to do that?
There's something happening right now. In our area, we had a local district where 42 kids were victims of a deep fake. It was very inappropriate material, climbed all the way to our legislators who put laws in place to where it's major implications, like child pornography, all of these laws that could result in a felony. And so what we did is we had our social emotional learning team put together a 40 PowerPoint slide presentation to talk about what is a deep fake. How can you recognize everything that you said at the beginning? How can you recognize when something's not real, something is real? And then talk about, potentially good uses of this technology, like we said. But then what are the consequences if you enact one of these things? So we put that in every single one we gave our buildings a timeline to get this implemented, to get this education to our kids. Because our kids don't think it's real. It's online. It's not real. I didn't mean it. I can go right down the list of things. And most of the kids that are doing this stuff, they're not really trying to hurt somebody, but it does major psychological damage to people. And it ruins families. It makes kids not comfortable in their learning environment. And so we created this developmental presentation that's different. A kindergartner, we took it down to fifth grade. Fifth grader different than a 12th grader. So we did developmentally appropriate lessons and gave by the end of the first quarter that needs to be delivered. And so that's a real example of what's occurring right now. And educating, supporting, and holding accountable are really important measures in this space.
So well said. Superintendent, the next question I have for you is, what kinds of situations have you seen that might involve these disappearing messages, typically on Snapchat, or the anonymous or secret secondary accounts, typically on Instagram, and they could be around bullying, harassment, inappropriate sharing, anything that really keeps kids from learning at school or making them frustrated online? What tips might you have for us?
So first things first, you as a parent have the right to get in your kid's business. So if you see, feel, or being reported to you that there's something inappropriate going on in a disappearing message going on in a social media thread, you need to jump right in that void and collapse it immediately, because your students are walking on concrete that will quickly harden and their footprints will be in there forever. And we need to protect our children from that. So do not hesitate to jump in their business. You paid for the phone. You could quickly put it on the refrigerator. So do not hesitate to do that. That is not a right. It is a privilege.
I love that tip. Get in your kids' business. So many good tips here today. I just want to throw out a few things that I've learned from you. Took a lot of notes. The get in your kids' business. You pay for it, parents. Treat it like a car. I'm going to take it to the next level. Parents love it when I relate it this way nationwide. If you buy your kids a car, would you keep an extra set of keys for it so that you could check the trunk to make sure there's not something illegal that their friend puts in there, and to make sure also that you know that they're not driving it too fast, which could hurt another family, kill another kid, or hurt your family, right? They say, absolutely, I'd have another set of keys. I own it. I bought it. And it could hurt somebody. Cell phones are not any different, parents, to our audience. Cell phones are the same thing. They're 4,000 pound, they're really less than a pound, but these should be treated like 4,000 pound deadly devices, right? And I think nationwide, a lot of superintendents agree with me. You also taught me that what you said without saying, superintendent, that I love, was be the parent who does tough love. Do the job of parenting. I'm going to be all up in their business and do the things to help raise them right. I loved what you said, basically. We don't want a kid to go undercover, meaning they hide things from you and you're not getting the real truth. I love that. That was a great, great tip. The cadence, creating a teachable moment that you probably are doing a drip cadence to parents, like, hey, here's what we're learning. Boom, boom, we're reminding you. I absolutely love that. And a parent community support page. And kids love their favorite teacher, and they'll usually share that with people. I have learned so many things from you today. Superintendent, you took time out of your busy day to be here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. And this is what a wonderful place. I'm being serious. Like, there's not places that are trying to lift up, highlight, inspire, get information to the people, and also allow people to reflect. And I greatly appreciate that. And it's been an honor to be here with you. And thank you for doing what you're doing. It means a lot to parents and educators. So
thank you. That's very kind. To all of our audience, remember, there's no shame here today. If you've made a few of these mistakes, I just want to give you one little tip that might help you in the long run. Number one, if you're having trouble with your kiddos online, all the psychologists, therapists, and superintendents nationwide that have helped us have really taught us the best thing you can do is start with a social media agreement or a screen time agreement. Everybody on the same page, which district leaders nationwide go, this is the brilliance. Locking it down is good, but being on the same page and knowing the downside is better, we believe at Smart Social, with millions of people that I reach. So we've got a free guide on smartsocial.com. Search for agreement in the little search box. It'll pop up. Download the short one, which is 1 page, or the 12-page one, the long one. I promise you, if you use either one, you're going to be better protected, less arguments, a closer family. Your kids probably won't go undercover, as the superintendent said, because they'll go, I know why I need to tell you this, and I won't get in trouble because you told me. I won't get in trouble if I come to you quickly. Parents, that screen time agreement, best thing ever if you're going to give your kids a phone. Also, we want you to wait a little longer. The holidays are coming up. Every kid wants a phone. Let's be a little careful. There are watered down versions of phones called Gab phone, Pinwheel. There's a bunch of them out there. They don't have social media on them, and they're really limited on the camera functionality. They just have phone calls, text, and a GPS where mom and dad can see where they're at. We fully support that until the age of 16. And if you want to get them online, then we start to learn about what it means to shine online. So important. But parents, we love you. We're here to support you. One last tip. Whenever you're posting online, parents, as the superintendent said, it's really a footprint in concrete. We call it, make sure you're light, bright, and polite with what you're posting, parents, because your kids are modeling what you do online, and you are their first teacher and your biggest role model. We love you. We support you here at smartsocial.com as we reach millions of parents a year. Thanks for watching this episode and supporting us. We'll see all of you on the next episode. Have a great day. Thanks for spending time with the smartsocial.com podcast. If today's insights were useful, please share the episode with a fellow parent or educator and subscribe so you never miss our next conversation. And parents, make sure to join one of our next live online events each week to keep your family safe and also enter for a chance to win cool prizes. You can learn more at smartsocial.com. I'm your host, Josh Oakes, and parents, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching what you're doing online. I'll see you on the next episode.